everybody. Welcome to Week 6 recap of fantasy football. I'm going to try to do it as, fairly quick. Again, try to keep it under a half hour. Preferably 20 minutes would be better because I ramble on a lot. But definitely want to be at least under 30 minutes. One time I went a whole friggin' hour. I don't know how I did that. But anyway, and I think I know why, because I'm talking like this. And don't shut up. Quick recap as you look at the final scores, the Week 6 matchups. Wesley beating Gary 155-59. Poor Brandon. Bill beats Brandon by 1 point, 150-149. Caitlin winning again, going to 4-2, beating Terrell. Terrell's first loss since Week 1 against me, so 140-103 win for her. Zach, the only remaining 5-1 team left, 121-118 win, only a 3-point win for him, and knocks my dad to 1-5. After Matt Fisher beat me, what was it, 2 weeks ago? No, was it last week, right? No, I think it was 2 weeks ago. With a dominating fashion. Won last week, I think. 2 in a row, and then back down below 100 as Colby defeats him 130-94 to move to 3-3. And down at the bottom, Dylan knocking the third and remaining team with 1 loss. The 2 teams that had 1 loss. There were 3 teams that were 4-1 coming into this week. And that was Zach, Terrell, and Andrew. But as you see, Terrell and Andrew both lost. Zach's the only remaining 1-loss team left. And there's a few of us at 4-2. 5 teams at 4-2. I got the top spot, scoring the most points. But look how many I've given up. All because of just 2 losses. We're literally about, 70 points or more? Just in 2 losses. So I literally given up 140 points in 2 losses. All the rest were me winning. So it's like, it's crazy to look at there. I do have the most points scored in the entire league. Bill is also staying with me. As you remember last week, Bill had the most by 1 point over me. We both were 1 point apart for top scorer of the season and second. And third wasn't even really close. So you got 897, 893. The next closest to us, I think right here, 830. So 60 points less. And even Colby's at 811 in these 3 losses. But this is the standings as they stand after week number 6. We're closing in on halfway through the regular season. And if the playoffs started now, it would look like this. I'd be going against Bill currently at the moment. Andrew would be going against Terrell. Caitlin against Dylan. And Zach against Colby. As of right now. But obviously that's going to change dramatically throughout the season here. But December 21st through the 27th will be the first round of the playoffs. So we got all the way to December. We still got all the rest of October. Well, there's only 2 weeks left of October into November. All November and almost all of December, all the way to Christmas. So we got plenty of time. Anything can happen. Oh no, it was last week when I lost to him. Never mind. Oh, his first win was the week before that. Okay. That's right. It was last week when I got blown out. But the least amount I scored was 127. That was the least amount I've scored. So all my scores, but actually even that one, all my scores here are higher than all of his except for 1. My lowest is higher than all of his except for 1. Yet the one that is literally is the one I lost by that much, 70. And I lost to Caitlin by 60, 61. So that's 130 points difference in 2 games. Other than that, you know, I by far have so far looked, the best. I got the best points for just the 2 weeks I had the least amount of points. I got blown out by somebody who scored way higher than theirs. So that's the story of my life here. Anyway, that's the overlook and the current standings. Outside the playoffs so far is Matt Fisher, Brandon, my dad, and Gary. So they're the 4 that are currently outside of the playoff spots. They're all 3 of these, 10th, 11th, and 12th, are 2 games back of the bump spot in the playoffs. Wait, how would I have? Oh, because I'm second. I'm not. That's right. But yeah, that's the way it looks so far. Matt is 2-4, but I'd still be worried because he's only scoring 7-11. Actually, I say that. Well, yeah, that's because he had a 218 game. Other than that, he'd be way lower than this. If he had 100 less than that, he'd be a 6-11. He'd be like the second highest scorer in the entire league. But one week gave him like almost 100 extra points, and he's gotten all season in any game, any week. So, but Brandon and my dad have scored similar, close, but they've given up this many. So that's. Oh, for once I didn't give up the most points. Look at that. Oh, that's because I faced Gary. That helps. Gary's 59 here. Because I had given up the most by far up until this week. But thanks to me holding Gary to 59 there, helped that. But anyway, let's move on. And there's my little whatchamacallit. Now, obviously started last week. And we got to start making the moves now because this past week here, this week 6 that we just did, was the first week of bye weeks. So you're going to have to start moving people around a lot more now because people are going to have the buys. And I got to move at least 2 people around here. So that's the way it looks. My team until I change things around. I'm gonna have to put like Higbee in or something. Oh, look at the Rams are going against Detroit this week, huh? Oh, look at that. Jared Goff and Matthew Stafford going head to head against each other's old team. After that trade in the offseason between those two teams. And Matthew Stafford's team is 5-1. And Jared Goff is 0-6. So I don't know why the Lions got rid of Stafford. I've always liked Stafford. I knew I've always liked Stafford. I thought he's a better quarterback than Goff. And I don't know why the Lions got rid of him. Every little problem the Lions had was definitely not from Stafford. And it's showing as well. Just like everybody thought Tannehill wasn't a good quarterback. But I don't care what anybody says. If they still say he's not good, whatever. I don't care what you have to say. He's better than anybody that complains about him will ever be. So, and I've always known that too because I'm a Texas A&M. I'm a huge Texas A&M fan, and I remember him at Texas A&M before he even got to the NFL. I've watched him at Texas A&M. I've been hardcore Texas A&M fan since I was like 10 years old. Whenever I started watching football, like I watched college football way back when they were in the Big 12. That was back in the Big 12 days when Tannehill was playing. So, I knew Tannehill is a good quarterback. And even when he played for the Dolphins, the records didn't show, but he made crazy plays. And I still don't know why people were talking about how he's not that good of a quarterback. I'm like, look at the team he's on. And sure enough, he goes to a Titans team who they got a stacked team. They got a really good team. And he's making good plays. Obviously, he has mistakes because everybody has mistakes. Hell, Tom Brady played like shit against the Patriots. Still ended up winning. I mean, you can't play good every single week. I mean, I expect him to have some off weeks. That's the same way I am with bowling. I have really bad weeks and really good weeks. It happens. Just because he had a bad week, everybody says they need to get rid of him. He's horrible. He sucks. But yet, all they do is sit there on their phones and, go Twitter happy for 20 seconds and try to feel popular, even though, you know, they'll never do anything half as good as them. And they're just jealous. That's all that is. So, yeah, Tannehill's... I've always liked watching Tannehill. I've always watched Tannehill on the Dolphins. So that's how I know he's not that bad of a quarterback. I was happy. I was like... And you can ask my uncle, and you can even ask Brandon about it. The day they made that, and they picked up Tannehill as a backup to Mariota, I said instantly, I love that move. I'm glad they got Tannehill. I've been saying that from day one. And I even told Brandon, Bill, everybody. I said that right from the start. I was glad they had Tannehill as a backup. I didn't expect him to be starter that quick. But you see how, I was glad they got Tannehill from the get-go before he even was, planned on starting. So, and he's definitely proved himself since he's been with the Titans that when people can actually get open and catch the ball. Unlike the Dolphins, they had a shit team back then. All right, so let's move on here. I said quickly, remember? And here I am talking. Still yet again. We're 13 minutes in and I haven't gone over a damn thing. All right, here's the first matchup, me against Gary. Gary had two guys out from the Giants. Daniel Jones was also hurt from last week with a concussion, but he did play, only scoring 7 points, and Goff only got nine points. So either quarterback for him has not been producing at all. Well, actually, no, I take that back. Daniel Jones did get a couple games in a row, I think, of 30 points when he had him on the bench. And now that he has him in, he hasn't done anything since he's been in. He got hurt last week, and now 7 points here. So I knew I pretty much had this one when he never changed him out in time. But still never know. Derrick Henry, huge game yesterday. 3 rushing touchdowns, 143 yards. He had a 176-yard touchdown run in the first half. Scored 39.6 points for me. And Jalen Hurts with 26. He had a decent game, even though they lost against Tampa Bay. They looked a lot better. They had a chance in that. Let's see. And Heineke only had 10, so I had the right quarterback in. I've been actually having the right quarterback in pretty much every week. And if the bench did score more, it was only by like 1 point more than the one I had in. So we'll see what happens. DJ Moore scored 10, a little under his projected, but it's all right. Julio Jones also. He made a hell of a catch in that game on a pass interference, tipped. Well, it was tipped from the pass interference off the guy's helmet when he wasn't looking, when he was basically pushing Julio back. But it bounced up in the air, and Julio caught it. So they actually got like extra 5 yards because it popped up 5 yards deeper, and he caught it, kept his feet in bounds. That was a crazy catch. And Najee Harris, 24.7. He's been doing really... Him and Henry have been doing very well for me. Them are two that almost are over their projected every single week for like the last 3 weeks. Been nice. And Cook with 12.5. Hopkins also scoring 20 points for me. Suckup only got 4, and they only kicked the 4 extra points. And I had to pick up Miami's defense because the Saints were on a bye. I'm hoping I can get the Saints defense back here, so I'm gonna hopefully can do that after this. I haven't looked at any transactions, but yeah, the Chiefs defense actually scored 11. That's actually a lot, considering they seemed like they were... Actually, yeah, they did win by more than... And they only let up 13 points. It felt like Washington was playing a lot better than KC, but they only scored 13. Huh. But anyway, that's that matchup. 155 to 59, almost a 100-point victory. That was the biggest blowout of the week. on the homepage there. Poor Brandon had the lead coming into Monday night last night with the Titans and Bills, and then Bill with the 29 points from Josh Allen. And he also had, who else did he have playing? I'm looking. Didn't he have somebody else? I thought he had somebody else playing too. Or was he talking about maybe it was somebody from the Steelers game? No, I don't see anybody from Sunday night game either. I thought he had, I guess I'm wrong. Alright, well, he only had Josh Allen, but Josh Allen scored just enough points to win by 1 over Brandon last night. Tannehill I thought Tannehill would have scored more points than that, because I thought he had a better game. One of his better games this year. He was able to throw the ball. The offensive line actually blocked a little better this time, so he was actually had time to throw the ball. And Brandon was telling me this too, about how he has 3 people on the IR. I'm like, I thought there was only 2 slots. He goes, yeah, exactly. So I'm guessing that, yeah, because actually 2 of them are on the bench. 2 of them are taking up his bench. Oof. But he still had that was actually, I think, one of the highest scoring weeks for Brandon, and he still lost by 1. That didn't help with Hines either, only scoring 3.2. If he only scored 1 more point, that could have been a difference maker there too. But Carolina's defense, 16. That was a big. Hines is the only one that really didn't score anything for him. Everybody else is in double digits. So that was a very close game. But actually, Bill on the other side had 4.7 for a wide receiver, so that also wasn't much. Kareem Hunt he got injured in that game, so he came out. He did get 10 points before he got hurt. But, yeah, that's that game. That was a little close. He had Carr on the bench, 25, but Allen still scored more than him. I don't know when Buffalo's bye week is. It's got to be, I would think it's coming up soon, but he'll definitely have to put Derek Carr in at least for 1 week. As long as he don't have the same bye as Buffalo. That would suck, wouldn't it? I haven't looked. But, let's see. So there's the bench scores. Pretty even. So we'll move over here. Terrell had a very good day, or very good season all the way until here. He did not have a defense in, but I don't think that really would have mattered, to be honest with you. Because the defense had the bye, but even if he had a defense in, I don't think they would have scored, 37 points. It's very, very rare for that. So I don't think the defense would have scored 37 points. So he wouldn't have won anyway unless he... Kirk Cousins instead of Prescott wouldn't have really done much either, because that's only a 2-point difference. There's not much else he really could have done, to be honest with you. Let's see. Melvin Gordon on the bench got 10. Could have had him in instead of McLaurin. But that's only 4 points. So, yeah, really not much he could have done. Caitlin had another pretty good game, or pretty good day, weekend, I should say, because it was a couple days between all the games. Tom Brady on Thursday night, he only got 18. He did not get his projected. Neither did Godwin. But Antonio Brown, that was a hell of a pickup, because he almost looks back to the way he used to play for the Steelers. He's definitely still got it on the field. Just all that off-field stuff really pissed me off. I liked Antonio Brown when he was on the Steelers. All that off-field stuff kind of pissed me off about him. I do still like him because he is a good player. He's fun to watch, but I'm always been kind of a Steelers fan too, because my dad's a hardcore Steelers fan, so I kind of grew up a Steelers fan mostly. But once it became the Titans and they had the new logo, when I was young, I've always liked them, so that I've been with the Titans since. But I still have a little bit in there for the Steelers. I like rooting for the Steelers, unless they face each other. And they are facing each other this year. I would have liked to go because it's in Pittsburgh. I was trying to get my dad to go. But, of course, just like last time they faced a couple years ago in Pittsburgh, it's like right in freaking December when, it's going to be hard to do because I'd be worried about getting a snowstorm or something. Because that happened with us. I had tickets to go see the Lakers play the Nets, but we had like a huge snowstorm or something the night before or that day, so we never ended up going. We had tickets and never went. So that sucked because I wanted to see Kobe. That was the only time I had a chance to see Kobe, and then he retired not that long after that, and then all the rest happened. So that sucks. I've always been a fan of Kobe, but I never got to see him play. I did get to see the Staples Center when I went to California. Got a picture in front of that. But yeah, and I had tickets to go see him play the Nets, and that was the year they only lost. They were like 17-1, I think, and then the Nets were 0-18 or something. Nets hadn't even won a game yet. They went 0-21, I think, before they won one. But they were like 0-17 or 0-18 when they faced them, and the Lakers only lost like one or two. So I'm like, that should be a good, hopefully an easy win. I would have loved to be at. So that would upset me that we never got to go. But and the Steelers and Titans, I think, is like December 19th. I think it's the week before Christmas. Literally the week before Christmas, I think. So, I mean, it's like right smack where you could easily have just a crazy snowstorm, and it's a 7-hour drive. You're not gonna want to drive 7 hours in that shit. So it's like, if it was like any time, like September and October game, it'd be much easier to make the decision. And it is what it is. It's 23 minutes. See, it takes longer when I'm freaking talking. But there's that matchup. Anyway, we'll move on. Zach just beating Dad here, and I did notice if Dad had Kyler Murray in instead of Baker Mayfield, that would have won him the game. Just that little decision. And he's had Kyler Murray in quite often this season. And the one time he does not have him in, it could have won him the game this week. He scored well over his projected, even with Murray on the bench, scoring 10 more than Mayfield did. And he could have knocked off the other 4-1 teams. So all three 4-1 teams could have lost. We're 3 points away from all three of them losing. The Indianapolis defense for him, 21. Jesus. But even Mar Jackson only scored 13.7. He only had 51 rushing yards. And only 167 passing yards in that game. Yet they won 34-6. So, I don't know. I don't know how that happened. Must have been a lot of defense on that. I saw some of that game, but I was really hoping the Chargers were going to kick their ass, but God, I hate the Ravens. Anyway, that's the look at this. He had Cook on the bench too, 22. He could have had him in instead of Brown. That would have been another huge difference, 20 points. That's a 30-point swing pretty much. So he could have had 148. So move on to the next one. Quick, Colby hanging in there. Started off 0-2, then won 2 in a row, and then lost and now won. Zach Ertz, this only changed the projected to 0 here because he got traded after his game on Thursday. Or not Thursday, no, it was Thursday, right? No. Yeah, because he played for, they already changed this. That's why it threw me off. He played with the Eagles, who played Thursday night, but now they traded him to Arizona. So because he got the trade, he was traded. This was 0, but he still already had the 12.9 from Thursday night. There was a meme with Zach Ertz that went to bed 2-3, woke up 5-0, or went to bed 2-4, woke up 5-0. Now they're 6-0. So, because they already played the week when he got traded. Arizona had not played on Sunday yet. He got traded before Sunday. So there's the Joe Burrow with 26 points and their win against Detroit. Herbert only scored 12 See, Herbert had a hell of a game the week he faced me, so that didn't help. Look at 90 points on the bench. Waddle had 29, 17, 17, 20. Actually, even that 20 was less than Arizona, so he's got a couple. What's the IRR? IR return. I've never seen that one before. So there's that matchup. And the final matchup, Andrew versus Dylan. Michael Evans only scored 4.7? Mike Evans. Are you kidding me? That's it? But check this out, though. This is almost amazing, okay? Andrew was 4-1. He scored 150 and had 2 on the bye that he never took out. He almost won with 2 zeros. That was almost insane. So Stafford 26 points to Mahomes 25. That was very close. These were close as well. These were almost exactly identical. This was close. I mean, he almost beat him in every matchup across the way. One here, one here, one here, one here, one here, and lost these 2 by 7 total. It was these 2 differences right here. That 27 points between here is what won Dylan that game. Jesus, he had 2 on the bench on the bye. Let's see, the kicker, he didn't have another kicker. No, he did. Both kickers were on the bench. Both kickers were on a bye that week. Interesting. And then, Trey Lance quarterback, which was up here, he was on the bye. So he did have Edwards, who was an injured reserve. No wonder why. He really couldn't do anything unless he traded. Because his oh, wait, you could, that's right. No, there was. Because this is the flex spot, so he could have put a receiver in here. He could have had Sutton in there for 23 points. And still would have won even without a kicker. Man. Andrew's got a stacked team this year. Cooper Kupp, man. He's been scoring like a mother in this season. Jesus. So that's that. One quick thing I did want to look at. So there's my team. I did want to... Let me see. I hope it's still there. I hope the Saints defense is still there, because that's one of the best defenses left. Oh, they are. I really have to do it. I really have to do a claim to do a trade. I thought that was just to pick up an extra player. There's the season points, looks like. Henry, 178. 100% start. Is that the leagues that are... 100% of the leagues have him starting. Holy shit. That's wow. Anyway. But yeah, I have to move some other things too. I just wanted to make sure I get the defense back. Hopefully that I had to let go because I had to buy, and I only had one defense, so I had to make a swap. But where's the quick transaction trends? See what's going on around the league here. What is this? That's not what I want. This is what I want. Alright, so Yeah, I had to pick up Miami, drop New Orleans. Zach picked up Dallas, dropped the Chargers defense. Colby picked up Crosby and dropped Blankenship. Brandon dropped Goddard, picked up Alex Collins. Dylan dropped Aguilar, picked up Ricky Seals-Jones. And then Caitlin dropped Cameron Brate. And hopefully you'll see Wesley picked up Saints defense and dropped Miami. So, but anyway, that should do it for this week. I think I pretty much covered everything as we see. Oh, that's right. I did want to look at next week's matchups. I'm going 4-2 Wesley going against 4-2 Dylan. 1-5 Brandon going against Andrew's 4-2 team. Terrell going against Colby. Zach's remaining 5-1 team going against the 4-2 Caitlin there. And then my dad is going against Bill. My dad 1-5 going against Bill there. And then the battle of the two lowest points pretty much scored between the two. Because again, that really crazy fluke of 218, I'm still calling it a fluke because actually Derrick Henry. Can I trade Pratt for? Yeah, I'm glad Derrick Henry was my number one choice. Everybody says McCaffrey, but no, nope, Henry all the way. McCaffrey gets hurt too much in my mind, so that's why I did not want him. He is definitely a good player and scores a lot of fantasy points and all that stuff, but exactly what happened is what I thought would happen, and that's why I didn't want him. That's the only reason I didn't want him, because I know he's a good quarterback, a running back. Definitely a good running back, but just I couldn't do it. And unfortunately, my draft started without me. I didn't know you can get in it before the thing started. I was waiting for a thing to pop up saying live, and it drafted freaking McCaffrey on me. But luckily, Caitlin wanted to trade with me, and luckily I got the trade in before I lost, before McCaffrey got hurt, literally the week before, I think. So that was perfect. But yeah, that should be an interesting battle because the two have not been scoring that many points between the two, Gary and Matt. Again, outside that other 218 fluke against me, his highest is 120. And again, my lowest is 127 so far. And his highest is 120, other than that 218 game he had against me. It's crazy to think about what a bad luck I had with that situation. Anyway. Geez, yeah. See, I only projected at 112, but again, I did not. I still have two in with the bye so far. I did not. I didn't bench them yet and replace them, so that's why it shows so low right now. A lot of people are probably in that situation right now. I guarantee you these two, 76 and 60, they definitely have some buys coming up. Oh, yeah. I was going to say, 4 buys for Terrell and 3 for Colby. So, they definitely have to do some trading out here. Hopefully, Terrell gets back in for this. Because I got to tell him to make sure. Because I don't think he's really been able to see every week. He just got... for not playing, really, and not paying attention, he won 4 weeks in a row. And had 4-1 record until this week. So, he still played good even though he wasn't paying attention. And they drafted for him. Because he couldn't figure out how to get in the draft quick enough. Because he called me when the draft was going on. He was trying to get in. He couldn't figure out how to get in. So, anyway. Hopefully, I definitely got to tell him you got 4 at the bye right now. So, you definitely have to move something. Because that's not going to be a good week there. And, but Colby has to do the same thing with 3 people. But I know Colby's been making transactions, so I know he's been, making sure and into it. I still got to keep working on Gary and my dad because I don't know if they fully know still how to play. That's why I wanted to make this to get them into it so they could see what it's like. Eventually they'll learn and they'll probably draft better next year, knowing how it works now and seeing how it works and seeing who scores more points or what the better players. You want to go by points. You can't always go by a lot of your team and stuff. Because he wanted Roethlisberger so much and Harris because he's a Steelers fan. So I get it too because I know, pretty much your first year in, you want a lot of players from your team. But then when you think about how it works, when you start playing and you realize you got players from the same teams and shit, and they all have to buy, and you got to lose them or put them on the bench, and then you have nobody to replace them because you got all from the same team, nobody else from any other team. Once you realize how the buys work and how to swap them in and out and figure out what to do, they'll be more. I think they'll be better next year when they figure out. I'm still working on helping them, trying to figure out what to do here and how to bench players and put them in and all that stuff. So still some work to do with Gary, more than Dad, I think, but. Because Gary's got 3 players from the Giants, and they were all ended up getting hurt in the same freaking game. So that didn't help him. So he's got 3 from the Giants starting. So when the Giants have a bye week, that's going to be a big problem for Gary there. Plus he had Tua at the start of the season who got hurt in like the second or third week. So he ended up dropping Tua because I mentioned something. So, and I think he took Tua mostly because he's hardcore Alabama fan, so he always liked Tua, so he's just going by players he likes, not necessarily players. That's what I think my dad kind of did too, is went with players they like instead of players that they know they can get points, even though if they don't like them, like freaking Gronkowski. I don't like Gronkowski or Brady, but sometimes you might have to grab them. Especially if you're running out of quarterbacks in there and Brady, if you're in one of the end rounds and Brady's still there, well, he went well before that, but if you have a lot of good quarterbacks that are taken, Brady would be a decent pick to pick up, even though I don't like him. Same with Gronkowski, but I actually wanted Gronkowski, even though I don't like him. I wanted him this season because something freaking told me that these two were going to connect a lot more this year. And sure enough, in the beginning of the season, every week they got like 2 touchdowns to each other. I just knew that was going to happen. Of course, Gronk's been hurt lately, so I think he's actually might still be on the bench. I do want to pick him up if I can, but I want to see when he comes back first. Because I would actually like to pick Gronkowski up because Brady likes to go to him all the freaking time. Especially when they're in the red zone, he almost always tries to find Gronk for a touchdown. So, and that's the reason I wanted to pick Gronkowski. Even though I don't like him, you gotta pick the people sometimes. But plus my dad was kind of didn't know how the draft worked. Like he didn't know who was taken or who wasn't. He wanted Roethlisberger, and I'm like. And I'm in my head, I know Roethlisberger probably won't score that many points, but because he's a Steelers fan, he wanted Roethlisberger. He did end up getting them afterwards. He actually did score similar points to one of them one time. But anyway, they'll learn, though. I mean, my first season, I think I was crazy like that, too. I didn't, put 2 and 2 together on the buys and how my first time I ever did it years ago. The first time you do it, once you find out how it works, then you get to figure out what you want to do and make yourself better at it. But they'll learn. Hopefully next year they'll be even better. But this is mainly, I wanted to get them into it and try it out. Bill really enjoys it. Bill's, for his first time ever doing it, he really actually knows he's been on a computer a lot looking at this. He really figured out a lot of stuff and knows how to do this. Like he always talks about I should have benched him. He really knows what he's talking about because he's, course, he is retired too, so he's more time to look at it and look on the site and see how it works. Plus, my dad and Gary don't have I don't think they really have a computer. They only do it from the phone. I think it's easier to do everything from the computer, technically. Or like you can see the standings better, I think, and you can see more breakdowns on the computer than you can on the phone. So, my dad doesn't have a computer. Gary, I think, does, but I don't know how much he uses it. They just mostly use the app on their phone, which is good, but I really like the way this PC is laid out. Geez, 42 minutes? I does not feel like... All right, well, that'll do it, though, for this week. Week 6 recap. We'll be back next week for Week 7, so we'll see you then. Enjoy Week 7 coming up here. Oh, one quick thing. I did want to show. I forgot. The actual scores for Week 6. How about that? Tampa Bay on Thursday night winning against Philadelphia 28-22. Jacksonville over Miami on in the 9 a.m. London game, the final London game of the season, second of 2. Green Bay beat Chicago 24-14. Cincinnati over Detroit 34-11. Indianapolis over Houston 31-3. The Rams beat the Giants 38-13 in New Jersey. Kansas City 31-13 over Washington. Even though Kansas City looked horrible in the beginning of that game, but they figured out a way to turn it around, which they usually do that a lot with Mahomes. He finds a way to make things happen. Minnesota over Carolina in overtime, 34-28. That was a good game. Mike Warren was at that game. Matt Fisher was actually at the Giant game. Let's see. Baltimore beat the Chargers 34-6. Arizona over Cleveland 37-14. Raiders beat the Broncos 34-24. Broncos were almost making a comeback. They were down 34-17, scored with like a minute and a half left, got the onside kick and recovered it, but then ended up turning it over. They could have scored, made it 34-31, and got another onside kick, hopefully. That would have made it interesting. Dallas 35-29 in overtime over the Patriots. Pittsburgh 23-20 in overtime. I think, yeah, that went to overtime. So there were 3 overtime games? I didn't even realize that. And then Tennessee. My Titans beat the Buffalo Bills last night. What a crazy finish that one was. Go Titans. That was a huge win. I knew with that. I'm glad the Titans had a 2-game lead coming in over the Colts. They had a 2-game lead in the division coming into the Buffalo week because they had the Chiefs next. So at least if they lost Buffalo and lost to the Chiefs, if they lost those 2, they'd still be at least tied for first. But they did end up pulling this Buffalo win out, so that was a huge win. If they can beat the Chiefs too, oh, that would be awesome. This is I think the 2 toughest weeks you can have back to back with the Bills and the Chiefs. The Chiefs defense, though, I think the Titans can really score a lot, but I think the Chiefs offense can score a lot too. So I think it's going to be a high-scoring game, just like that one. I think this Titans and Chiefs is going to be a high-scoring game as well this week. But I won't be around this week to see it. I'll be away this weekend, so that sucks. I usually watch the Red Zone every week, but this weekend I won't be home for it. Anyway, but that's the scores for this week. And looks like Denver, Cleveland have the Thursday night game this week. And then, let's see, Sunday night is the Colts and 49ers. 49ers coming off a bye. If they can beat the Colts, we'll hopefully, yeah. If we beat the Colts, we'll still have a 2-game lead. Even if the Titans lose to the Chiefs, we'll still have a 2-game lead. If the Colts lose, but if the Colts lose and we beat the Chiefs, a 3-game lead with 2 big wins in a row, that would be huge push. And then the Saints and Seahawks have the Monday night game. So there you have it. Now we'll say so long as you see the biggest blowout of the week, the final thing. And we'll see you next week for Week 7 recap. So long, everybody. Enjoy the rest of your day. And see you later for the NASCAR Royal Elite Series tonight at Charlotte Motor Speedway on iRacing.